This one's probably going to sound weird. My second video always does. Alright, so I've got a video uploading with some spicy sauce in it. I felt compelled to share the back end in reference to when I was a child. So, when I was a child, it's hard to explain. I had a unique upbringing, to say the least. My parents did love me. You know, I'm not saying that they didn't love me. My parents did love me, and they do love me. But I've always just had a very unique relationship with both my parents. Both my parents. I've always been treated very differently. And so I learned to find peace in myself. I learned stillness. I learned to like my thoughts and just be in my own thinking. And when I say I didn't really have a voice, for example, when I went through that, when I was molested and I told my mom about it, she did not believe me. She did not believe me. And my dad, not too long ago, brought it up. And it was really odd because he remembered one of the times, because it was in the vehicle that he was in. He was driving us. And he told me that he remembered and he wished I would have said something. Because he would have pulled over. He couldn't pull over. So again, it was my fault. It was my fault it happened. Mind you guys, I think at this point I was like 8, 9. Like, I don't know if anybody's went through those experiences, but when you're going through that and that's happening to you in that freaking moment, it's like you feel like you're screaming, but nothing's coming out of your voice. Okay? So, I adopted it in my head as if it didn't happen. Okay? The only person that believed me was my grandmother. My grandmother. And so I adopted it in my head as if it never happened. So I lived through that all the way up until one infamous day, I was with my ex-husband and his half-brother brought it up. We're all hanging out. And somehow, some way, everybody's drinking, having a good time, whatever. It came up about me and my ex-husband playing school when we were kids. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. What? Because mind you, I thought it was a figment of my imagination. Okay? Because both my parents didn't believe me. One of my parents knew it happened and was quiet about it. Furthermore, they allowed me to end up being and marrying this man. Again, I'm an adult. I take accountability. I had a lot of childhood wounds. I was very, very broken. I was very, very unhealed. That's why I've been somebody that internalizes so much. I internalize everything. And I don't wear what I internalize on the outside of me. Because growing up, I carried so much pain inside of me in so many different ways that I know what pain feels like. I'm not talking about physical pain. I'm talking about mental, emotional, psychological, just pain outside of this world. And I never wanted to ever be a part of inflicting that on anyone. And so I always moved mountains in my life and in my trajectory of life to never inflict pain on anybody. I just always internalized everything, no matter where I was at and what I was walking through. And it's just something that I adopted when I was younger. I kept a lot of things inside. I learned to be okay with being by myself. I learned to be okay being isolated. I didn't always have, I haven't always had a lot of friends. I went through circle of life with friends because of the uniqueness of all my friendships, which I will get to that too. And so I felt very compelled to share this story because it is a very big turning point in reference to my story and me recognizing how my reality that I've been living in has been fake. A false reality. essentially. Really. And so there you have it. There's the whole trajectory of my marriage, my divorce, and getting all aligned up with my ex-husband. And I share it because I feel that people need to understand when you will go against your intuition and your gut, 99% of the time, it always ends up hurting you in the long run. And if you think about things in your life and your trajectory on decision making, choices, intentions, life trajectories, whether that be personal, business, whatever, family, and you think to yourself about a decision or choice that you made and going against what you truly wanted and what you truly knew versus what you ended up deciding because those around you had control of your thought process and you were too consumed in making everybody else happy than truly making yourself happy. How did you end up feeling? And how did that end up working out for you? Because most of the time, it doesn't end up working out for you. It doesn't. And then you find yourself in a situation where you're not being true to yourself. You're not being true to what you actually want. You're not being true to actually what you feel. And then you're stuck in this situation and it's like you're suffocating, right? And you're just like, you can't breathe in different ways. Then what happens? You get resentful. You get bitter. You get angry, and all these things are going up. And for me, I never got that way. I just got where I self-deprecated and I wanted to numb myself. But I never have been a person that projects everything outside into the world, what I'm feeling. It's stuff that I've carried the inside of me until this year because I don't put myself in situations to feel that way again. No matter what walk I'm in, I will move mountains to never put myself in situations that don't make me happy or put myself in a situation where I am moving mountains to make other people happy while killing myself. And so I think it's very, very important for people to understand why it's so important to be true to yourself, be true to what you want, be true to your choices, no matter what anybody says or does, because you're the one that's going to have to live with them. You are, not them, you are. And I had to learn that the hard way. I did. And everything in my life was so divinely orchestrated. So I got to this place where I could share my testimony. I could share my story and I could be strong and I could take the lickings and I could be the example and I could be the mockery in the city, whatever, exploitation, my city Truman Show, This was all divinely orchestrated. And I share my story in reference to these things. But when it comes to everybody entangled in it, everybody unraveled in it, all this stuff, like I'm over that. Like I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? I don't carry or harbor any ill will or anything like that. But it needs to be said. It needs to be said, particularly because I've given you so much time to come clean and you've chosen not to. You've chosen not to. You've chosen not to take accountability. I've tried so hard to just give you the grace, the mercy. And I've given you grace and mercy. But I'm going to start sharing my story. Like Candace said yesterday, this nation's gotten weird. I thought it was great. She shared a freaking lawsuit, the most ridiculous lawsuit. Somebody so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so said something bad, on the internet. And it's like, people, that's what they mean. They get so happy. My boss was like that too. Like that. He got hit with lawsuits and he'd smack the other one in the lawsuit. I mean, it's just like, it's just the good old boy clubs, man. This is how these people operate. They don't like what you say, especially if you're calling out truth. They're going to slap you with a lawsuit. That's how they operate. That is how they operate. And it's like, if you don't like people talking about what you do, then don't do it. I mean, it's very simple to adopt. Treat everybody the way that you want to be treated. And by all means, don't do things in the dark and think that they ain't going to come to light. That's a bad idea. That is a bad idea. Why? Because God sees what you do in the freaking dark. Always. He always sees what you do in the dark.